I still remember the day they called me useless. It wasn't just a word, it was a knife, quiet, sharp, and designed to make me bleed from the inside. My name is Era. And for most of my life I believed I wasn't good enough. Maybe it was the way people looked at me, like I was too quiet, too soft, too slow to matter. Or maybe it was because every time I tried to prove myself, someone pushed me back into the shadows. But the moment that changed everything. It happened on a rainy Thursday morning, inside the place I once called my dream job. The office was cold, buzzing with keyboards and fake smiles. I walked in carrying a presentation file I spent 3 sleepless nights perfecting. This project meant everything to me. If it went well, I would finally get promoted, or at least recognized. I stepped into the meeting room, my heart pounding like it wanted to burst out of my chest. My manager, Zara, glanced at me with that same look she always had, like she was doing charity by letting me breathe the same air as her. Era, she said in her sugar-coated but poisonous voice, you're late. I wasn't, I was early. But correcting her never helped, it only made things worse, so I kept quiet. I sat down at the table, surrounded by my team members, people who loved to take credit for my work but disappeared when I needed support. Across the table was the biggest reason my life turned upside down. Sahar, my former friend, my roommate in university, my sister in everything, until she learned how to climb ladders by stepping on me. She looked at me with a smile that wasn't really a smile. And I didn't know why, but something inside me whispered, she's going to take something from you today. I dismissed it. I was too naive, too trusting. The meeting began, and my manager asked, so, who is presenting the new campaign? I stood up, ready to walk to the front. But before I could take even one step, Sahar shot up from her chair and said, with your permission, I'll present it. I worked very hard on this. My breath stopped, my body froze, my mind screamed. She didn't just steal my project, she stole my voice. I looked around for someone, anyone, to say something, but all I saw were silent witnesses. People who thought my pain was entertainment. Zara nodded with a smirk. Of course, go ahead, you always produce good work. Always. It was my work, my nights, my ideas, my effort. Sahar walked to the front with my file in her hand, the same file I printed this morning. I wanted to speak, I wanted to scream. But all I could do was watch. She presented my ideas, my research, my designs, word for word, and what hurt the most, she didn't even flinch, she didn't feel guilty, not even for a second. When she finished, the room burst into applause. Zara said, this is brilliant, Sahar, you are amazing. Then she looked at me, but not with admiration, no, she looked at me like I was a shadow on someone else's success. Era, she said in front of everyone, you need to learn something from her. You can't survive in this world being so slow, so passive, so useless. That was the first time someone said it out loud, useless, a word that broke something inside me, a word that ended the old version of me, a word that started a fire I didn't know I had. I forced myself to sit still. If I cried, they would win. If I reacted, they would laugh. If I argued, I would be the villain. So I held everything inside and let it burn me alive. After the meeting ended, the room emptied out one by one. Only I stayed behind, gathering the pieces of my heart with shaky hands. Sahar walked up to me with her fake smile and said, you should be grateful. At least your work was good enough for me to present. That was when I realized. She never saw me as a friend, she saw me as a tool. And tools don't get credit. Tools don't get applause. Tools don't get respect. Tools get used. But that day something inside me whispered back, not anymore. That was the start of my transformation. The day my world cracked open. The day I stopped being who they wanted me to be. Because they made one mistake. They thought calling me useless would break me. It didn't. It awakened me. I didn't go home that evening, I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sahar presenting my work with confidence she stole from me. Every time I breathed, I felt the word useless echo inside my stomach like a stone. So I walked. Long, aimless streets, cold wind brushing my face, cars passing me like I was invisible. Maybe that's how everyone saw me, invisible. But the longer I walked, the more a strange fire started to grow inside me. I wasn't angry at Sahar anymore. I was angry at myself. I had let people walk over me for too long. I had stayed quiet when I should have spoken. I had given chances to people who didn't deserve a single one. Life isn't kind to people like me. Life doesn't reward softness. Life doesn't protect the silent. But it teaches. And betrayal is the sharpest teacher of all. When I finally reached home, I opened my laptop and went through the project files again. Every slide, every note, every design sketch. My hands trembled, not with weakness but with an emotion I couldn't name. Strength. Determination. Maybe all three. For the first time in my life, I saw my own work with clarity. It was good. Really good. I wasn't useless. I wasn't slow. I wasn't weak. People just made me believe I was. Because it was easier to control someone who doubts themselves. I sat there for hours, staring at the work I created. Something was born in me that night. Not revenge. Not yet. Something quieter. Something deeper. Self-worth. The thing I had been missing my whole life. And once a person discovers their worth, nothing in the world can keep them small. I looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't want to see tears anymore. I didn't want to see fear. I didn't want to see someone who waited for others to validate her. So I whispered to my reflection. They think I'm useless. Watch me. For the next several weeks, I changed, quietly. Silent transformation is the most dangerous kind. People don't notice. They don't prepare. They don't expect you to rise. I showed up to work like always. I acted normal. I smiled politely. I let them think they had crushed me. But behind that calm smile, I was rebuilding myself. I started learning new skills: marketing, design, analytics. I watched hours of tutorials every night. I read books I never had time for. I practiced until my eyes burned. Slowly, something incredible began to happen. The girl they once called useless became the most knowledgeable person in the room. I understood strategies better than my manager. I mastered tools faster than my team. I started noticing gaps in their work, mistakes they didn't even know they were making. But I stayed silent. I watched, I learned, I grew, not for validation, not for recognition, not the loud, destructive kind, the quiet, elegant kind, the kind where you don't ruin a person, you make them ruin themselves. One day during a team discussion, I corrected a major error in our campaign plan, a small correction, but important enough to save the entire project. I expected Zara to snap at me, but something strange happened. She paused. She looked at me differently, almost surprised. "Era, good catch," from Zara. The woman who once called me useless. It was the first sign, the first crack in their arrogance. But the best part, Sahar noticed it too. She watched me with suspicion. She sensed the change, but she couldn't understand it. She had built her identity on being better than me. So seeing me rise, even a little, felt like a threat, but she still underestimated me. They all did, and that underestimation, that arrogance, was the beginning of their downfall. Weeks passed and something strange began to happen at the office. People who once ignored me started noticing me. People who talked over me started listening. People who used to treat me like a background character suddenly asked for my help. At first, it felt unreal, like I was living someone else's life, like I was wearing a new skin I hadn't grown into yet. But then I realized, this was me, the real me, the me I had been hiding because the world told me she didn't exist. One morning I arrived early for work. The office was still quiet, the kind of quiet that feels almost holy. I poured myself a cup of coffee and sat at my desk. A notification popped up on my screen. Urgent. Campaign review at 11 a.m. My heartbeat slowed. Campaign review, the same meeting where my work was stolen last time. I felt a chill run through me. This time I wasn't afraid. This time I was ready. At exactly 11, everyone gathered in the meeting room. Zara sat at the head of the table, tapping her pen impatiently. Sahar sat confidently beside her, flipping her hair like she owned the place. But this time, when her eyes met mine, something flickered. Uncertainty, insecurity, fear maybe. She thought she had buried me, but I was rising from the same ground she tried to bury me in. The meeting began. Zara looked at the team. "We need new ideas for next month's campaign. Something fresh. Something bold. Who's going to pitch?" Last time, Sahar snatched my work before I could breathe. This time, she cleared her throat. She opened her folder slowly. But I spoke first. "I have something." The room turned silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Sahar froze with her mouth half open, shocked that I had beaten her to it. I stood up calmly and walked to the front of the room. I didn't shake. I didn't stumble. And for the first time, I didn't doubt myself. I connected my laptop to the projector and began presenting. Slide after slide, idea after idea, strat after strategy. My work flowed like water, clear, strong, precise. I saw Zara lean forward. I saw two of my colleagues whisper something to each other. Even the interns scribbled notes like their life depended on it. But the best part, I didn't look at Sahar. Not even once. I didn't need to. I felt her panic from across the room. Her breathing grew uneven. Her confidence started cracking. She was losing control. When I finished, the room stayed silent for a moment. The good kind of silence. The kind that comes before applause. Zara finally said, "Era, this is impressive. Impressive." The woman who once called me useless was now praising me. I didn't smile. I didn't react. I just said thank you. But inside, a quiet storm of satisfaction was forming. Sahar tried to interrupt. "Actually, some of these ideas sound familiar." Zara cut her off. "No, these are new. Fresh. Era, you've grown." I'm surprised. Surprised. That was exactly what I wanted. Not validation, not approval, just surprise. Because surprise leads to doubt. And doubt leads to downfall. As we left the meeting room, my coworkers whispered things like, "She's really good. I never noticed her before. She's changing." But the words that meant the most were the ones that came from Sahar. She cornered me near the pantry, her nails digging into her palm. "What do you think you're doing?" she hissed. I looked at her calmly. "Working." "No," she whispered, teeth clenched. "You're trying to make me look bad." I raised an eyebrow. "I don't need to. You're doing that on your own?" Her face turned red. For the first time since we joined the office, I saw fear in her eyes. The power was shifting, and she felt it. Power doesn't change through noise, fights, or shouting. Power changes quietly. through consistency, through growth, through calm confidence that shakes people without raising a single voice. And that's exactly what was happening. Office politics are like storms. You don't see them forming until they're right above your head, and that's exactly what began happening. After my presentation, the office atmosphere changed, but not for everyone. Sahar grew restless. She watched my every move. She double-checked my tasks. She asked unnecessary questions. She tried to corner me in front of others. But the more she tried to pull me down, the higher I rose. One day during a follow-up meeting, I noticed something unusual. Zara asked, "Who will handle the next phase?" Before anyone could speak, Sahar said, "I will. I already have the strategy." She opened a folder in front of everyone, a thick folder filled with printed pages. I glanced at it, and my heart dropped, not in fear, in disbelief. It was my old strategy document, the one she stole last time. She was about to present it again. Only one problem. Every line in that document belonged to the old me, the version she thought she had crushed, the version who didn't fight back, but the new me. I wasn't the same girl she manipulated before. So, when Zara said, "All right, let's see your approach," I leaned back and observed. Sahar began presenting confidently. She flipped through the pages. She spoke smoothly, but then something happened. Zara frowned. A coworker exchanged a confused look with another. Someone whispered something like, "This feels outdated." Because while she was using my past work, I had already evolved way ahead of it. After 10 minutes, Zara raised a hand. "Sahar, stop." The room froze. "This strategy, it's not aligned with our new direction," Zara said. Sahar's face stiffened. "What do you mean?" This is solid." Zara shook her head. "It's weak. It doesn't match our current data. And honestly, it feels like something Aira would have done months ago." Months ago. Everyone turned toward me. And that was the moment the mask slipped, just a little, but enough. Sahar's fake smile twitched. She stammered. She lost her rhythm. Human beings aren't born evil, but insecurity, fear of being overshadowed, that's what creates monsters. And in that moment, the monster she created inside herself was eating her alive. Instead of comforting her, Zara said something even sharper. "I want Aira to draft the new version. She's been showing a lot of improvement lately." Sahar went pale. Improvement, the very word she hated seeing next to my name. The meeting ended with me receiving a task she desperately wanted for herself, and I didn't even ask for it. Revenge doesn't always begin with a plan. Sometimes it begins naturally, when people expose themselves. Later that evening, as people were leaving, I walked past the empty meeting room. Sahar was still inside, sitting alone, staring at her failed presentation. She looked small, fragile, almost broken. She wasn't the confident, loud, bright girl she pretended to be. She was scared. I should have felt sympathy. I should have felt guilt. But betrayal changes people, and I had only one thought. This is just the beginning. Revenge isn't loud. Revenge isn't rushed. Revenge doesn't scream. Revenge is patient. And the first domino always falls quietly. A week later, we had a major team briefing. Everyone needed to submit their progress. I submitted my part early. Sahar, however, didn't. Zara called her out. Not politely, not gently. "Sahar, where is your work?" She stood frozen, eyes darting around the room. I'm working on it. Working on it." Zara repeated sharply. "You said you'd finish it last Friday." Sahar opened her mouth but no words came out. People began noticing the pattern. Whenever something important was assigned to her, she delayed. Whenever she spoke, she sounded unsure. Whenever I presented, she looked like she was sinking deeper into insecurity. The shift was happening. And then something unexpected happened. The moment that lit the fuse on everything that came next. During one of our brainstorming sessions, Zara asked a direct question. "What's the core message of our final campaign?" Sahar spoke first, trying to grab attention. "It's about customer trust." Zara frowned. "No, that's surface level." "Aira," I answered calmly. "It's about connection. People don't buy what we sell, they buy why we sell it." Zara smiled. "That's right. Right." Those two letters hit Sahar harder than a slap. Her eyes widened, her breathing quickened. She clenched her jaw so tight I thought she would break her own teeth. And then the first domino fell. Sahar snapped, right in front of the team. She said, "Why is everyone acting like she's suddenly a genius? She's just copying ideas from the internet." A sharp silence filled the room. Everyone stared at her. Zara slowly turned her head towards Sahar. "Are you accusing your teammate of plagiarism?" Sahar froze. She realized her mistake too late. "I didn't mean." But Zara cut her off. "We don't throw false accusations in this team. You can step outside for a moment." When Sahar walked out, shaking, embarrassed, I knew it. This was the first real crack in her world. The first falling domino, not pushed by me, not orchestrated by me, but created by her own insecurity. And that's the most poetic kind of revenge. The kind where your enemy destroys themselves, trying to compete with your growth.